Alright folks, full moon in Virgo tomorrow, Monday, March the 9th at around 10:40 something a.m. Pacific time. I will put the exact time in the title of this video once I'm done processing it. So if you see the video without the time, just know that I'm still in the process of, I tape the video, it uploads, and then I go into YouTube and do some processing and put in some information and all that kind of stuff. So just know, if you haven't seen the time yet, you can always Google the time, frankly, but I will put the time in here. And you'll see once it's processed. It doesn't take that long. Okay, let me go from a macro to a micro on this full moon, as I said I would yesterday. The first thing I do want to say, though, is that this full moon in Virgo comes at the culmination, or in the middle of, I think is the way I would like to put it, a series of transits and energies that I have been discussing in a few videos recently. So certainly this video needs to be considered in conjunction with the last two videos I did yesterday and the day before. And you're welcome to look at it in and of itself. I'm not trying to get you to click on multiple videos of mine or play any of those other games that sometimes it feels like people are playing. And I think people who have been watching my videos know that I never do this, really, or rarely do this, where I say watch all these other videos in order for this to make sense. But there is a narrative here, and I would look at, if you have the time and if you have the interest, look at the Mercury in Pisces reckoning video I did a while ago, look at the new moon in Pisces video, and then look at the compass video I did about who or what is being eclipsed out of your life, and then look at the last couple of videos I did and this one, and it all forms within the narrative. I'm going to do my best to give you what I can of the narrative in this video as a standalone as well. So just know that, and know that I don't always refer 6 other videos in conjunction with one. We're just coming out of a set of gnarly energies that have been in play for a little while, particularly, as I've said in the who or what is eclipsed out of your life video, the week before February 25th and the week after February 25th, and here we are at a certain point. Now, the full moon is in the sign of Virgo. As I explained yesterday, Virgo is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is currently in Aquarius, stationary, getting ready to go direct on the day of the full moon, tomorrow on March the 9th. Mercury is in Aquarius. Aquarius is ruled by Saturn, which is in its own sign of Capricorn, and Uranus. Uranus is in Taurus, which is ruled by Venus, and Venus is in Taurus, right next to Uranus. So the full moon is disposited by Saturn and Venus, both of them strong and powerful and comfortable in their own signs. So the chart of the full moon has to be looked at a very macro level, somewhere in the background, somewhere humming along, somewhere from an overall perspective of the themes of opportunity and achievement. The opportunities being, however, small, and this is what my video yesterday was about, but may lead to greater stability, greater success gradually, and of course Saturn and Capricorn being preoccupied with achievement and the blocks that are in the way of achievement and removing them. So somewhere, finally, the energies have turned or changed, and with this full moon, somewhere there's this very grounded, earthy, practical full moon at what has been a very emotional and intuitive few weeks, turbulent internally few weeks, comes this very grounded and practical energy with the full moon in Virgo, with Mars and Jupiter and Pluto and Saturn in Capricorn, and Uranus and Venus in Taurus, all earth signs, all in the practical, grounded, financial, responsible parts of our chart. So somewhere the overall backdrop is one of achievement and opportunity, and if these haven't shown up yet, that's absolutely fine. What I explained yesterday was that the energies and the times are changing. We're getting ready to shift with Mercury going direct tomorrow. And whatever has been processed or been mulled over or has been investigated related to crises in late 2015, 2016, at around the same time last year, I have asked you by tomorrow, ideally, to make a to-do list of things that will allow and that you will take action on by May the 4th, related to whether sign of Pisces is in your chart, because Mercury was retrograde in Pisces. It's now in Aquarius, but it's going to go direct tomorrow and back into Pisces on the 16th of March. And until May the 4th, we have an opportunity now to, when we deal with crises, or when we deal with situations, rarely is the path forward linear, if at all. We come across something and then we kind of have to go back to it, and then we have to go back to it, and we go back to it, and we spiral out of it. There's a revisiting process. And the spirals are very much denoted astrologically. It's all cyclical and they're cycles. So if Mercury is going retrograde in a certain set of signs, then for a period of certain number of years, it goes retrograde in the same part of the chart, in the same signs at around the same time. And we go back and try and make more sense of it and investigate more of it and make more sense of it. So we're very much in this kind of spiraling energy. And because it's been going retrograde in water signs and emotional signs and intuitive signs, that's the part of our lives that has been so triggered and complicated and full of nuance and full of intuition that our mind is full of murkiness that our mind is trying to grapple with, which, after all, through this Mercury retrograde investigation process, is one of the reasons why Mercury has to go backwards, to try and make sense of things that have been happening at a certain pace that it can't make sense of. So as increasingly, even into next year and the year after that, we're going to have more an opportunity to put things to bed to some extent. And wherever the signs of Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio are in your chart, I've seen this kind of connection of where it is that the spiraling up has needed to happen. Let me recap where we're at right now. The full moon is disposited by Venus and Capricorn in their own signs, strong, and there's a backdrop of achievement and opportunity that is in the air. It may not be here yet. The curtains are about to open. Mercury goes direct tomorrow. Somewhere there's this grounded, practical, much needed, I've had enough of all this mulling over certain things, I've got to take care of certain things reality-wise, and an eagerness almost to move forward. As I also mentioned yesterday, we are moving into our next phase of forward movement that we had in January and early February, starting about the middle of March till the very beginning of May. So achievement, opportunity. Both Saturn and Venus are ruling Mercury, which is the ruler of this full moon in Virgo, and Mercury is stationary in Aquarius. And it is with this Mercury stationary energy that I am talking about with regard to why it is that right now we feel like we have a bit of a pause, and what it is that we're being asked to start to get our minds and hearts around as we start to take some grounded action leading, grounded, responsible, practical, self-protective actions related to where the sign of Pisces sits in our chart and where crises in late 2015-16, I'm repeating myself, but repetition is helpful, and around last year, same time, occurred. If you were to say, describe this full moon, I would say I would describe it as though, when you go to the opera, a lot of more traditional, more classical operas have an overture, and the curtain is closed and the orchestra is playing. The curtain is closed, we're all sitting there, the conductor comes out, we applaud, he turns around or she turns around, and they conduct the overture. The overture ends, and for this split second, or 2, or 4, or 5, the curtains are still closed and there's silence, and the conductor's up, and we're ready for the opera to start, and that is where we're right now. The curtains have not opened, but they will in the next 2 or 3 days. When I did my last new moon in Pisces video, I said, jokingly, that it was a new moon about 2 weeks ago that felt like a full moon, because it was occurring in these very turbulent weeks before and after February the 25th. Well, this is a full moon that feels like a new moon, because it is at this pause of this next set of action that we're ready to start taking, that we have been doing an investigation around. And wherever the side, wherever, and so Virgo is the sign opposite Pisces, and the last new moon was in Pisces. The sun is still in Pisces. We're very much in Pisces season. And at the time of a full moon, the moon comes opposite the sun. So something can be entirely revealed, like the disk of the moon is revealed. Something can come to culmination. There can be offers. There can be contracts that are signed up somehow documented, I'd be very careful of signing anything over the next 3 or 4 or 5 days. Just Mercury stationary, and also with Mercury being stationary, a friendly reminder, travel, these are the days when Mercury is going to be at its most rawr. So bizarre conversations with customer service and strange experiences with public transportation or transportation in general, or meetings or technology or being late, or even though you've left enough time, things causing snafus and irritating and really frustrating travel snafus, baggage being lost, reading the wrong time on a ticket, all that kind of stuff can somehow exaggerate over the next 72 odd hours, so just be aware of that. Now, the energy of the full moon, governed by Mercury, is at this pause between the overture and between the curtains about to open. Also, there are two, frankly, actually three transits that are worth mentioning as far as this full moon are concerned. It's not that the moon is making them, but they're in the chart right now. One is that just before the full moon tomorrow, today, the Sun and Neptune were conjunct, and my video 2 days ago was about this. The idea that some sort of murkiness, some sort of deceit perhaps, some sort of hidden agenda, some sort of, whether you're perpetrating it or you know that you are at the receiving end of it, that may have occurred around January the 25th or so, now becomes visible, at least at an intuitive level, or reaches a place of clarity or resolve. And the resolve is going to be provided by this Virgo full moon. There's something about, you can't look at a sign and where it sits without looking at the opposite sign. So at the time of the full moon, it's as if our minds and our emotions have had enough. And typically full moons have this kind of I have had enough feeling. Either something is getting completed or getting done. That can be positive, or offers coming through, which are all positive. Or sometimes our emotional pot boils over and become frustrated and angry. And full moons, we have temper tantrums and emotions, and also things come to a head. And it's often because wherever the sun has been, those energies have a certain preponderance, and by the time you get to the full moon, you are just done and ready to introduce, even temporarily, a kind of a pause or a meltdown or something that reacts to wherever the sun has been. So with this illumination of this crisis-ridden part of our chart, or laden part of our chart, for so many years now, somewhere our soul inside is rebelling and wanting to put a certain amount of practical and self-protective emphasis on taking back control. Wherever Pisces is and wherever Neptune is, we have very little control. And as I've mentioned, wherever Pisces, where Neptune is sitting right now and is very powerful, and what the Sun conjuncted earlier this morning, where this deceit, it can either be that you're getting sort of artistic or creative downloads or inspirations, or it can be that somewhere, you are just really receiving downloads of an intensely meditative or spiritual or blissful type. It could be that addictions are getting illuminated. Neptune disconnects you from reality and connects you to greater reality or spirit, and aids to relaxation. That's what they're really trying to do, whether it's alcohol or other addictions, cigarette, whatever it is. They're trying to disconnect you from the pressures of everyday grounded earthly life and put you in a different realm, a spaced out realm, a daydreaming realm, long day's journey into night. Tyrone, well, I don't know if it's Tyrone or if it's the elder son, Jamie, who talks about the fact that he drinks so that he can feel that click in his brain, so he's not thinking anymore, something along those lines. Very Neptunian, to try and escape through altered, these kinds of substances. So whatever it is that is coming to light, whether it is a deceit or a loss because something is being taken away from you through deceitful means, but ultimately the universe is trying to say, is it really for you? And so don't focus so much on the past, or look at the video 2 days ago to get clarity on the Sun-Neptune energy. The Virgo full moon is coming in to kind of call a temporary timeout and express a certain amount of frustration. And because it cannot act, because we're in the space between the overture ending and the curtain opening, the pause is pregnant, and the pause is protective, and the pause is there in anticipation of the fact that we have had enough with these investigative, emotional, under-the-surface energies, and we are now deeply desiring to take control over execution. And some of this execution is going to be protective in nature. And so if you have made some sort of a to-do list or have an idea or investigation of what it is that needs to be acted on as Mercury starts to go direct through May the 4th, and the energy may return as you head to the middle of the week, as you head towards March the 12th, March the 13th, the momentum will pick up. March the 16th, Mercury is back in Pisces, moving forward, and we are going to be in execution mode. So somewhere with this full moon, we have the Sun conjunct Neptune energy that is playing a role. The other aspect that played a role that I discussed yesterday was Venus conjunct Uranus. Epiphanies about relationships and financial affairs. In a concrete form, it could be windfalls recently or losses recently, but more importantly, it is epiphanies around relationships and financial affairs, and maybe creative affairs and the arts to some extent, because Venus is involved. Now, there's a third transit I referred to, which is Uranus is trining the south node in Capricorn, where Saturn is, and Jupiter is, and Mars is, and Pluto is, and the north node in Cancer. And so somewhere these epiphanies that have occurred, the full moon itself is making an important aspect. It's making two important aspects. One, of course, is that it is opposite Neptune. The Sun and Neptune are together. We're together today, and barely as they're separating, the full moon occurs. So as the full moon becomes full, it's going to oppose Neptune and then become full opposite the Sun. So that's one opposition. The other aspect that is actually very supportive in a grounded and a practical, achievement-oriented way with this full moon has to do with the fact that it is trining Jupiter and Pluto in Capricorn. And achievement and transformation. And the reason why it becomes especially relevant is because Uranus, which is governing Mercury, is also in Taurus, but it is trining the south node in Capricorn and sextiling the north node in Cancer. So the sign of Capricorn is extraordinarily supportive and important. And Capricorn is where we have just had this eclipse anniversary the week before and week after February 25th. So we are just we're getting an infusion of clarity and energy and a preparation to start to move forward. An infusion of energy and clarity, hopefully, to tackle things related to the eclipses that have come up. Mars is in Capricorn for the next month, giving us energy and wanting us to take action related to these eclipses. So whatever came up the week before and week after February 25th, or came up around December the 25th of 2019, or came up between January the 5th and July the 16th, therefore March the 5th and May the 16th of 2019, time to take action. And we're in the pause. It is a full moon that feels like a new moon, but somewhere the cup is full and we are ready to take action. And so just give it a few days, enjoy the pause, strengthen your resolve, and you will be ready to move forward. But there's a correlation between whatever's been going on in Pisces for the last few years and where Mercury is retrograde. Correlation is the wrong word. There's support. But whatever eclipsy stuff has been going on for you in the sign of Capricorn especially, week before February 25th, week after, in general over the last 2 years, if you haven't felt something strong week before and week after February the 25th, because there are 7 other dates that are relevant to this, then just, and who or what has been eclipsed from your life, that video, that compass video will shed more light on this. It's a full moon that very much has a place in the larger narrative of everything that has been going on, and ultimately the transits can really be concentrated on whatever's been going on in Pisces and whatever's been going on in Capricorn. And the overall theme is still one of moving towards achievement and opportunity and availing of opportunities and preparing to avail of opportunities, as with the moving forward energy. And as I explained yesterday, some part of the energy in the next few months is also going to be about finishing up these tasks that we need to, where the sign of Pisces is. So there's also this protection energy. The theme is on execution, and it's just temporary that we're going to feel this kind of stasis and minor but frustrating irritations related to Mercury being stagnant. by the time we get to March the 16th, it's going to be all systems go. So you do have till tomorrow to go ahead and think about what actions you want to take. And if thinking about where Pisces is and where these crises were, just sit down and make a list of things that you feel you need to do that contribute towards achievement and opportunity, especially related to your career and calling, primarily related to career and calling in many respects, to finances, to abundance. And make a list of items that you feel you need to do somehow to protect yourself against either some sort of escapism or addiction, or where you feel like you might be being stolen from or deceived. Let me see, let me look at my notes if there's anything else that I really feel like I need to jump on. I feel like golly, I covered everything. I didn't have to look at my notes. Okay. If you like this video, found it useful, please feel free to share it. You're welcome to talk about my channel to people. Subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. Click on the bell icon next to the subscribe button so you can be notified whenever I do new videos. My contact information, email address is in the description area, so you can contact me if you're interested in a reading or finding out about rates of readings, or you'd like me to make an easy-to-read version of your chart that can show you which sign sits in which house and what they all stand for, because I refer to that a fair amount in these videos. You will need to know your birth time for that. Okay. The murkiness of the last few weeks is about to end, and we are ready to experience some more forward momentum, some of which is going to be further developing on the forward momentum that we experienced in January and the first week of February. Fasten your seatbelts. It should be a time, hopefully. Forward momentum is always helpful and feels much more enlivening than being stuck in mires of going over and investigating past issues, even though we're required to spiral out of them. And somewhere the spiraling is going to continue because the sign of Pisces remains active. You know, whatever's been going on with Mercury retrograde in Pisces, listen, by the middle of May to the end of June, we're going to be tackling it again in a much more serious way. So it's not over yet. So there is this hand-in-hand activity of forward movement, and yet tying up more and more from the past that we can, so we can keep moving forward and enjoying the forward movement, and we aren't mired by past things. For anything that has been intense or sudden or tragic related to the week before February 25th or after, for those of you who felt it that way, there is support now. You are in a place where you can somehow start to tackle, heal. It's a Virgo full moon, healing, stability, execution, taking back control over your tasks, your productivity. So that is also very much at play currently. So we're moving from an energy of, when we come to Pisces, an energy of surrender, and moving past the energy. Well, yeah, we are. I can say this with confidence. We're moving past the energy of surrender to the energy of getting back in the driver's seat, taking the wheel back from God and starting to drive our vehicle again. So in order to be able to do it successfully, by all means, come up with an itinerary and get your maps and know where it is that you want to go. Ideally by tomorrow, but you have maybe 48, 70, you have time. Just do it. Just do it. Okay, over and out.